All right, so you've got some extra cash at the end of the month. First of all, nice job. But that great problem comes with a huge choice, one that could literally be the difference between retiring on a beach or, well, not retiring at all. So, should you attack your debt or should you invest that money?
Now, most of us, if we're being honest, just go with our gut on this one. But your gut isn't a financial advisor. So today, we're going to ditch the guesswork. We're going to look at the hard math and give you a real framework to make the right call.
And I'm not exaggerating here. This isn't about saving a few bucks. Over your lifetime, the path you pick could easily mean a difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even more. The stakes are incredibly high.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the big question itself, then dive into the core conflict, guaranteed versus potential returns. We'll walk through a massive mortgage example, sort out good debt from bad debt, talk about the crucial human element, and then wrap it all up with an actual game plan for you.
So, let's get right into it with the million-dollar question. The goal here is to cut through that feeling of financial anxiety and replace it with some serious confidence.
Look, if your brain kind of short circuits every time you think about this, you are definitely not alone. The simple truth is there is no single right answer that works for everybody, and that's exactly why it feels so overwhelming. But don't worry, we're about to make it all make sense. Okay, this brings us to the absolute core of the dilemma. It really just boils down to a battle between two very different ideas: the guaranteed return versus the potential return. This is the trade-off, right here.
Now, here's a concept I really want you to let sink in. It's the guaranteed return. When you pay off a debt, you are earning a risk-free return that's equal to its interest rate. So paying off a credit card that's charging you 22% interest, that's the same as making a 22% guaranteed tax-free investment. I mean, seriously, try to find that deal in the stock market. And this really lays out the two paths perfectly. On one hand, paying off debt is safe, it's predictable, and yeah, let's be honest, it's kind of boring. On the other hand, investing has the potential for spectacular, world-beating returns, but it's also risky and totally unpredictable. It's the tortoise versus the hare, really. One's a sure thing, the other is a bet on the future. Okay, theory is great, but let's make this concrete. We're going to look at a powerful, real-world example to see just how dramatically this choice can play out over the long run. So here's the setup. Imagine you have a $350,000 mortgage at a pretty decent 4% interest rate. And through some smart budgeting, you found an extra $1,000 in your pocket every single month. Now the question is, what do you do with it? All right, strategy one, you attack that mortgage with everything you've got. You throw that extra grand at the principal every month, and you end up paying off your entire house in just 14 and a half years. Then for the next 15 and a half years, you invest all that money. Your total wealth after 30 years? About $1.1 million. Not bad at all. But what about strategy two? What if you just made the minimum payment on your mortgage and instead you invested that extra $1,000 every single month for the full 30 years? Well, assuming an average 10% market return, your total wealth would be around $1.9 million. So, let's do the math on that. The difference between those two strategies in this specific scenario is a mind-blowing $800,000. That is not just a little extra money. That is completely life-changing. Okay, but hold on. Before you run off and switch everything to minimum payments, we need to talk. It is critical to understand that not all debt is created equal. That mortgage example is for one specific kind of low-interest debt. Let's break it down. High-interest credit card debt, that stuff that's over 20%, that's not a debt, that's a financial emergency. The verdict is always pay it off now. There's no investment that can safely beat that. Now, a car loan or student loan, it depends. But that low-interest mortgage, well, we just saw how the math often favors investing. And here's a secret weapon that works for you when you have low fixed-rate debt. Inflation. Think about it. Your mortgage payment is fixed for 30 years. But over that time, inflation makes each dollar worth a little bit less. That means you're paying back your loan with progressively cheaper money. It's a massive hidden benefit. So, we've covered the math, we've crunched the numbers, but this decision is never just about what a spreadsheet tells you. The human element, your own psychology, your peace of mind, is just as important, if not more so. You really have to ask yourself these questions. How old are you? How much risk can you actually stomach without panicking? And what is the real-world value of sleeping soundly at night, knowing you're completely debt-free? For some people, what I call debt haters, that psychological peace is worth way more than any potential market gain. And you know what? That is a perfectly valid choice. Okay, let's bring this all home. Let's put it all together into a final, actionable framework. What should you actually do with your money starting today? But first, one thing. This is non-negotiable. Before you pay off a single extra penny of debt, before you invest a single dollar, you must have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund saved up in cash. Without that safety net, any financial plan is just a house of cards waiting for a light breeze. So here it is, your financial order of operations. Step 1, build that emergency fund. Seriously. Step 2, if your employer offers a 401k match, contribute enough to get every free penny. It's free money. Step 3, attack any high-interest debt, anything over about 7%, with a vengeance. After you've done all that, and only then do you get to make this educated choice about your low-interest debt. And that leaves us with this one last question. We've seen how the math can overwhelmingly point towards investing, especially over the long haul. But remember, personal finance is more personal than it is finance. So you have to ask yourself, what is the price you're willing to pay for your own peace of mind? The right answer isn't the one that looks best on paper. It's the one that lets you build wealth and sleep well at night.